Good morning, you handsome lot, or is it even afternoon? Probably by the time I'm uploading this video. But anyway, we are starting the week off with a 2010 Land Rover Defender. And we're going to be putting a little bit of a clutcheroonie in it. Now, the gearboxes in these old Defenders, they are a big old heavy gearbox. We need to make a little bit of room for ourselves. But before we go take the vehicle up in the air, we're going to remove this heat shield and take 4 bolts off the cat, no DPF, the cat on this, and we're going to make some room. Now, with that heat shield right out the way, we've got access to the 4 bolts holding the cat to the turbo. Now what I've done, given a little bit of a squirterini with some launch power loop plus, and they've come undone fairly easy. Now I have used a 1/2 inch ratchet and socket. You get a better movement on it. Now, before we even think about taking this vehicle up in the air, what we need to do is come into the cab, driver's side, and we need to disconnect the handbrake cable off the lever, and that pulls through. You're probably wondering why are you taking the handbrake cable off? Because on these, if you're not aware, that the handbrake is on the gearbox, on the prop shaft, which I'll show you in a second. And it doesn't just stop with the handbrake cable on the inside as well. We have to remove the carpet, or whatever's left of it, because it's worn away. Remove all the sound deadening from around here, and there's 8 T25s that you need to remove. You can just pop the gear stick out to the gearbox, and also the 4-wheel drive selector. Put that to one side, and then everything now is underneath. Now, as you can see, I've got the vehicle fully raised. We've got the exhaust wobbling loose. Now, remember me saying that the handbrake was on the gearbox? Well, there it is. Rather than have it on each individual wheel on the back, they've decided to put it on the prop shaft. Good idea, but it's been around for years. It's been around for years. Obviously it works. We've got to take now the front prop shaft off, this cross member, get the front part of the exhaust off, because the simple reason being, I don't know if you can see, it crosses over the gearbox and I can't get it back far enough. So I'm going to plod on now and get these prop shafts off. Give the threads a little bit of a clean, and especially on these older vehicles, before you take the prop shafts off, get hold of them and give them a rock up and down, and just check the RD splices, because when you've got them off, you might as well change the RD splices. But they do feel quite good on this. Right, well, this is where I'm up to. We've got the front half of the exhaust off. We're going to leave the rear silencer because these bolts I just can't be bothered. We can wiggle past that and tie it out the way if needs must. We're going to leave that front prop on, save disturbing it. We've got the cross member off. Exhaust, cross member. I'm going to make way now of, got my apprentice. We need that, and also I'm going to need the transmission jack in a minute, and we can go ahead, drop it down, remove the clutch feed pipe. We're going to have to probably just clamp it off because it will leak once we disturb it. And also we're just going to pull all this wiring loom out the way, and then we can make a start on getting these bellows and bolts out. Well, I've literally got now 1 or 2 bolts left, but to get to the top ones, they are a bit of a pain. So drop the gearbox right down, and you get about, well, all of the 1/2 inch extensions that you've got, and you can go right down and get them out. And there we have it, with a little bit of magic. Now that gearbox is on the floor. I'll tell you what, that is a heavy old box. Now, when you're removing them, especially these bigger boxes, if they feel as if they're going to slip and they start slipping, let them fall. Do not injure yourself, even though you should support them properly. Things can fall. Don't ever try and, especially on these bigger boxes, don't ever try and, because you'll hurt your back and God knows what. But however, I'm going to show you a little tipperoonie. When removing these boxes, I'm out of bloody breath. When removing these boxes out, the engine needs to go down so you can slide it. Now what I like to do is get a bottle jack. Let me show you. I know people are going to go, oh yeah, that's wrong, that is. Oh, shut up, I don't care. On the crank pulley, goes up, and that'll keep that engine at the angle for you. Right, so we go ahead now and get this clutch plate and pressure plate off the flywheel. 10mm on all impact gun. Or we can just buzz the 6. Keep them to one side, don't lose them. Now we might just need to get ourselves a little pry bar. You're probably looking at me bolt patch on the back of my head now, aren't you? Don't laugh. This is why I have my hair messy, because to try and hide the bolt patches. And there we have it. That is one clutch off. Press the wrong button. Right, shall we have a little inspection of this clutch plate? Now, one side isn't bad. He's probably got another 12.5 miles left, but the other side, it is actually not far off, touching the rivets. As he said, oh, it's fine, you know, on the flats, but when you get on the fields and his sheep, on the cattle trailer, it's you know, it's struggling. But yeah, that's what he said to me anyway. But yeah, and we are going this time for a Sachs clutch. Look at the difference in them. A little bit different there, isn't it? And we're also going to be replacing it with an LUK Schaffler concentric slave. Now, as much as this looks fun to do, whenever you get these out of the box, do not ever press them in and out, because you will damage the seals inside there. Chances are it'll, well, leak prematurely. Let's go ahead now and put the brand new concentric slave into the gearbox. These are held on with some T30s. Make sure you always start them off with your fingers. And you get a little battery gun. And that is plenty tight enough. Now, the little extension tube, check the rubber O-ring, make sure it's protruding a little bit. Now, you don't want it nice and flush. If it sits flush, chances are it's probably going to leak. But before we put that on, we're just going to put a little bit of red rubber grease on it and slot it back through the gearbox, and it should just go click into place. Oh, I tell you what, nothing's ever straightforward, is it? Now, this concentric slave looks identical, right? But it's not, it's completely different. That tube there, see where that cutout is? To that one. And we go to that one. It's the same, but different. I'm going to have to get onto the part supplier and see what's going on. There's probably a choice or two. While I'm doing that, I'm going to probably scoot around and get this clutch. Oh, I hope this bloody clutch. Let's check this clutch, see if it's right. Well, it fits on the shafts and the gearbox, okay. So you get the pressure plate now. Let's see if it fits on there, okay. Yeah, the clutch-a-rooney's right. 1 out of 2 ain't bad, is it? Right, well, I have found why the concentric slave is wrong. That part number there needs to be, instead of a 10, it needs to be an 11. Now, at some point, this might have been on the change, or I don't know. But anyway, that's the problem. Simple mistake. We've rectified it. There's a brand new one coming in the morning. Let's crack on and get this clutch in. Let's make sure now that we're putting the clutch in the right way around. Now, it does say somewhere, I don't know if you can see that there, but it does say gearbox side, so we need to make sure that plate, so that's the engine, this side, my right arm, this is the gearbox side, needs to go in like that. Now all I'm going to be using to align it is one of these cheap clutch alignment tools, and they are brilliant. I've had this one probably 10 years. I am getting a little bit, well, should I say, it is getting a little bit worn out. Get it adjusted up. concentration phase. Concentration phase. Once it's all tightened up, we can get it lined up. It's got to sit flush or equal to the pressure plate. If I can get me a little camera, Rooney, now. Is that a good place? I'm trying to find a good spot for you. Can't really see there, can you? Well, that'll do. Anyway, right, let's get it on. I'll get it in place. Put the 10 mils back in. Now when you're tightening them up, you need to go, this is with all clutches, you need to go in a star pattern, just pulling it up nice and equal. And once that pressure plate is pulled up to the flywheel somewhere near, we can go around it then and get a little torque wrench. Right, now with that all nipped up, what we're going to do is get our trusty little Allen key, put it through a bell housing hole, bell housing bolt hole, lock it into the ring gear, just pull it back ever so slightly, just so it's not going to slip. And we can get a 10 mil now. I forgot what we're talking about. Hang on, I'll be back. $29 Newton meters. We can go around them now and make sure that they are all torqued up to spec-a-rooning. And before we go home tonight, we're going to remove that Allen key, because the simple reason being I'll probably forget. Let me stop button. Right, well, that has come to the end of the day for me. There's not much more that I can do to this Land Rover. So what we're going to do, make sure that the ram is locked and it can't go down. I'm going to grab my tools now. I'm going to get them put away, and I'll probably see you tomorrow. Well, we are now into Tuesday morning. We've had the new concentric slave delivered, which I'll show you. The part number is now 11, and the concentric slave does look very similar, but it does come with a different tube. Should we get it fitted into that box? I think so. Now with a little bit of magic now, we have got that brand new, the correct concentric slave fitted. Now that plastic tube that goes through, make sure that it clips in first time, because I've had it before now myself where you've gone to bled the brakes, built the pressure, and it has just popped out and made a mess. I'm going to try and get this gearbox now back in there. Well, as you can see now, I've gone ahead and this gearbox is fully fitted back to the vehicle. Now I've got the front pipe back on, front prop shaft, all the bell housing bolts, engine mount, gearbox mounts are on. But before we go ahead and put this rear prop shaft on, what we're going to do, we're going to take this parking brake drum off. We're going to have a little look, because it's very rare that they come off, whether it's during a service, because it's got the prop shaft on. People just do not bother. So we're going to go ahead and just get it off and give them rear shoes a little bit of an inspection. And there we have it. That is that drum now off. Now these shoes are in a good condition. Normally they very rarely fail, but if they do, it's normally because the rear seal on the end of the gearbox leaks and it's contaminated and the handbrake becomes awfully poor. Even the brake drums, they are in a good condition. Now we're just going to get it adjusted, and what happens is these can seize up. Very simple to do. All cars should be like this. There's a bolt that goes through right there, and you just wind it up, that opens the adjuster up. Very simple, very basic, very effective. I like this old stuff. And there we have it. A hole underneath of this vehicle now is all back together. Now I did have to drill a snap stud from here, no big drama whatsoever. Now while I've been finishing off, I've had my brake fluid catcher, and we're just drip bleeding the clutch, which is up there, and it is coming through slowly dripping, doing its job, gravity doing its thing. Right, I'm going to drop it down now and top it up. Right, let's go ahead now, and this is absolutely minging in here. Ugh. Right, hold your breath, lad, hold your breath. Now we need to get the 4x4, the high and low, stick back in, and also the gear stick itself, and put all this, well, whatever's left of it, background, and try and make it look, well, a little bit presentable. But we'll see what we can do. Right, let's plod on. Honestly, it stinks in here, like it really does. Right, well, that vehicle now is all finally finished off, and you feel sticky and minging when you're working in vehicles like this. But the carpet that goes over the tunnel there, it was all breaking up, so I've left it off. And to be honest with you, it doesn't look as if it needs it. I think if the customer wants one, we'll have to get one organised for them. But right, let's take it for a little bit of a test drive. Well, we're out and about, and it drives like an old Land Rover. Clickety clackety, everything clunkety clunk, and horrible. Feels as if you're falling out of it when you go around the corner. Now, if you've ever been lucky enough to drive one of these, because I'm such a big broad lad, I have to drive them with the window open. We have got a little bit of a turbo whine from it. It's only a transit engine at the end of the day in these. But yeah, everything. We've got a good clutch pedal, and everything seems to be perfect. Right, let's get back to the yard. Now we're back in the yard. That test drive was exciting. How do they drive? They drive like crap, to be honest. But again, they're a working vehicle, aren't they? So yeah, that is one clutch-rooney replacement on an old Defender. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Let's get it sent.